Welcome to Talking Business. I'm your host, Darcey Edwards with Queen Bee Leadership Training. Talking Business is just that. We are talking business with business leaders, leaders in the community, and those who change their communities with entrepreneurship. This podcast is presented by Xpose Hope as a thank you to the business community. Catch us on all the platforms. Find us, follow us, and review us. Welcome to Talking Business. I'm your host, Darcey Edwards, and today we have on with us Devi Moss. She is a functional health coach and many other things, but she's also a business owner. And the reason I thought she would be a really good interview is because a lot of us business owners, we put our health in the back seat, right? And you've made a business of putting your health in the front seat. So maybe tell us a little bit about what you do and what that means, because all those words to us are like jumble. Like, what's functional mean? We don't even know. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a functional medicine health coach.
Okay, that's why we have them say it.
And honestly, that's just a title from the school that I went to that kind of learned what functional medicine doctors need. I actually worked at an internal medicine doctor's office for 17 years. And through that, I realized I actually wanted to help people. Like, I wasn't helping people there. So doctors were wonderful. I loved them, but they had their limits on just total health. So I was an integrative health coach. That was the first school. The second school was functional medicine. And that was because I loved the functional medicine world. Real doctors, like internal medicine doctors, allopathic, whatever, getting two more years of information to help people as a whole.
Right.
And that's where the functional medicine health coach comes in, because we help people as a whole. Holistically, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So during our little interruption in time of COVID, how did your business change, or what did people come to you for different reasons than they did before maybe?
Well, it changed because I have an office right across from Costco.
Right.
And I used it but once. And everything was on Zoom. Zoom opened up the world for other means. And I have coached people from Texas, Hawaii, and I just got somebody from Minnesota.
Right.
Google Works, right?
Right.
You don't need an office as a health coach.
Right.
So I'm actually in the process of leaving my office, and there's just no reason for me to have the office when I do everything online these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I coach too, and I do that. Actually, a lot of my people like the phone, and I'm like, I like that because I can walk and talk. But absolutely, Zoom opened up a world, and you embraced it.
Yeah.
Instead of shunning it. So, right?
Right. I mean, I did things on Zoom, but it wasn't as frequent, and now it's everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are what's some tips and tricks that you would give people who are business owners who maybe have put their health on hold during COVID, or they have the COVID-19 or whatever you call it, or they just were stressed, or they were, working from home, they were doing kids' school at the same time, and even now it's just the stress of like mask mandates. What are you seeing that business owners need to do? What are some first steps that they can do to improve their health?
So things that I learned, like from when I started until now, is one of the big things is actually go to work and leave. Like, you have to put a time on your work. When I first started, I would work up, I was on the computer till 9:00 at night because it's just me.
Right.
Like, nobody else is doing my work for me. I have to do it all. But I know better than that, but being a business owner, you dive in with both feet and trying to figure out what's going to work for you. So I think you have to have a start time, like, do you start at 8 or 9 in the morning? And do you end at 5 or 6 at night? And then close that computer and do things that fill you, like any other, happy, joy, spiritually, whatever, family.
Right.
Do the other things, because what people don't realize is that if your mind is totally focused on your business all the time, and you're not giving your mind that break to just relax and play or do whatever, you decrease your creativity, your clarity, everything. I mean, everything about what you do. You're going to work harder when you work long hours and that's all you do, as opposed to taking breaks, you're going
Right.
to work less but more efficient because you need that.
Right.
You need that break.
Absolutely. I love that. Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Have a boundary with yourself and your schedule.
Yep. Yeah.
So when you started your business, what are some things that you wished you would have done earlier or implemented earlier that now you're like, oh man, I should have gotten the accountant earlier, or I should have, whatever. What is something that you should have, coulda, woulda? Hindsight's 2020. What would you have done differently?
Well, for sure, I would have put a time limit on myself because I was wrapped all up in that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's got to stop.
Right.
It took me a little while to dive into networking. I think, especially as a sole entrepreneur, it is so important to create the network and the social support that you need, because if you are a sole entrepreneur, you're there by yourself.
Right.
And two minds are better than one, even if you're not a health coach. You're a coach, but you're a realtor and stuff. But you're outside looking in when I might be hitting a wall for creativity or trying to figure out how to make myself known or whatever. I could get a ton of insight from you.
Right.
And it took me a while to really get out there in that, networking and using everybody else's minds as well as my own, because you just need wisdom from everybody. And
right.
I think forming a network with a lot of different groups and, just getting one-on-ones and doing all of that, I think I would have jumped on that faster than I did.
That literally comes up pretty much every single interview.
Yeah.
Every single time I hear that is that I should have done that a little bit sooner.
Right.
Because you're right. Wisdom comes, we're, in many minds, and being open to hearing other people's wisdom is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So what is your favorite part of your business that you're doing? What is the favorite, your best day?
My best day. I can talk about a best client I had. He came to me as a referral from a functional medicine doctor. And he had cholesterol issues, and she was like, we need to drop some weight and work on the cholesterol and get better eating. So he comes to me and he says, well, I already know how to eat healthy. Okay.
Don't we all?
Okay. Well, then what do you need from me? I mean, why did you obviously need something? You came here. What is it? And he goes, I really need to stop yo-yoing. That is my problem. I gain the weight, I lose the weight. I gain the weight, I lose the weight. I said, all right. So I did this history timeline with him. When did you feel your best? And just asked a lot of questions. When did the yo-yoing start? And what were you doing? What was work? And we realized a lot of it was work stress. And I said, okay, you know how to eat healthy. Why don't we just work on stress? Let's figure out what the triggers are and where that's coming from as and I'll support you.
Right.
Well, at the very end of, it was a 3-month deal. At the very end, he goes, I've learned a lot about healthy eating. He goes, I obviously didn't know as much as I thought. He goes,
right,
but,
again.
He goes, but I have implemented so many techniques. When I go to work, I get up and give myself more time in the morning to have a smoother start. He goes, there's so many things that we did. And he sent me the letter from his doctor. He goes, she's singing the choir. He goes, because his numbers came down, his weight came down.
Right.
He's like, I just feel so much better. And I'm like, that's like song music to me.
Right? That's the love language, right?
And it's just that I can ask questions and that I might ask the right question to pull the answers out of the client.
Right.
Because really the answers have to come from them. I can't do the work for them.
Right. You can't want it more than them.
Exactly. They have to want it, and they have to really draw from their own wisdom that everybody has. We just have to, everybody has got smarts in there. You have to pull it out. And when they come up with their solutions, it really sticks then.
Right, because it was their idea.
It was their idea. Mm-hmm.
So bringing up that whole thing about stress. So I'm guessing that the stress level in our country went maybe quadrupled.
Yeah.
What are some tricks that you have for business owners to cut that stress?
There's a ton of things, and
List
everybody's going to
three.
be different.
We'll do three.
Yeah,
Three ideas.
Everybody's going to be different. So the three things that I might give might
Sure.
say people might, yeah, that's not going to work for me.
Sure. It's
So,
not for everybody,
Not
but
for everybody. So unplugging, and we kind of talked about with that boundaries of time, but just unplugging and nurturing yourself.
Right.
What relaxes you? Is that a hot bath? Is that reading a trashy novel? You know, some dead,
you
brain,
have permission to read the trashy novel.
something that just takes you away.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about everything else. Getting out in nature, taking a walk in nature. They call that forest bathing. And the Japanese are really into this, it's a big thing these days. And scientists, there's a lot of scientific research on, you need to get out in nature. It really does calm your nerves. And finding a good support. I mean, when we go through stress, we feel isolated because we're going through it. But if you start talking to people, everybody's going through some sort of stress. And our shared experiences and realizing, honestly, so I hear about some people, I get stressed, but I hear about other people's stress, I'm like, thank God I've got mine.
Right.
Because,
exactly. It's a whole different.
It's a whole different ballgame. And you can just appreciate, okay, we're all going through this together. We'll make it. Right? Yeah.
And linking arms. I love that.
Yeah.
Linking arms together. What would be, for somebody starting a business, and maybe in the same type of field, or just starting a business in general, what would be one piece of advice that you would give them? Besides networking.
Yeah. Really explore the field that you're getting into. Talk to other people in that field.
Right.
Like, I never talked to any health coaches. I didn't know any health coaches in the area.
Right.
So I didn't know what they had done, what worked, what didn't, what would they suggest. I think if people have blazed that trail before you, learn from that trail.
Right.
It may not be exactly for you, but it might give you ideas on what else you can, maybe things you haven't thought about.
Right.
Yeah.
Implementing other things and not reinventing the wheel. We sometimes tend to do that, thinking, I'll just redo that. But you don't have to. You can reinvent it.
And I would actually find somebody that will push you along.
Right.
Because we can become complacent with what we're doing. We're just sticking with what we're doing and we're not thinking out of the box. Where there's a business person, Connie, who like Facebook Live, like that just terrified me. I'm like, I can't even turn the button on. No. She literally took my phone, got it on, and said, start talking.
Yeah.
And then as I talked, and then I go, I don't know where the off button is. It's just big thumb comes around and push the off button. It got me, that's how that works. That's what I have to do. I don't know. People have different talents that you can glean off of.
Exactly.
And I think that you just have to, ask around, ask people, what did they do? What should I be doing? What has worked for people? And try to find your own way through there.
What do you have for your next 5-year goal?
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure right now because there's a lot of different paths that I can take at this point.
Right.
And I think it's going to be dictated by my family. So I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm leaving that open.
That's good. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Leave it open, journal it, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. That's awesome. Why stress about it?
You do?
I know I said, why stress? Why stress about it?
Yeah, no. No. You just show up sometimes. I mean, you should have some goals, yes, but right now I'm just at a spot where it's like, I could go several different paths, so I'm just going to see what unfolds.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't want to stress over it. I'm just going to, what opportunities or what paths that might open to me.
Naturally,
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Devi. I always love talking to you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Betty Campbell. I'm the founder and executive director of Xpose Hope. Today I want to tell you that we are honored to have been chosen by the community of Hillsboro as the best nonprofit in Hillsboro this year. Now, we were up against some very amazing nonprofits, but we were chosen because of all that we give back into the community. We run the All About Hillsboro site, and we help take care of businesses through All About Business, a networking community that is provided free of charge by Xpose Hope. Why do we do that? Because we believe in giving back to community just like we ask you to do to us. We hope that you'll consider turning the tables and giving back to us at xposehope.com so that we can help change lives and help change your bottom line by giving you not only a write-off, but so much more. Connect with us today.
Thank you for listening to Talking Business, brought to you by Xpose Hope. We can be found on all of your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, iTunes, all of them. Also, be sure to like us, share us, and leave a comment. Who do you want to hear from? We want to know.